I have tansy growing in my herb garden. I love the lacy leaf texture and the bright yellow button flowers. I like many perennials, and a lot of perennials have a habit of spreading. So when you look up tansy, it'll say that it's an invasive. And in some areas that may be true. But here in Michigan, I've not found it to be totally invasive. You simply remove around the plant that you don't want it to spread to. So it's taken care of quite easily, unlike mint. Now, I consider mint to be an invasive plant. I love mint, but it is invasive. It can take over. Its runners will find its way everywhere. So I don't consider tansy an invasive herb or flower or plant, whatever you want to call it. I've been growing tansy for pretty close to 20 years and absolutely love it. When it comes up in the springtime, I welcome its lacy leaf and enjoy it when it blooms. And I've not really used it a whole lot because there wasn't a whole lot of information on the use of tansy. But tansy has a long history of use extending back to ancient Greece. In traditional folk herbal practices, the herb was often used in infusions and washes for external applications and has even been employed as a textile dye. Hi, I'm Mary Bourne, traditional naturopath, and I love sharing natural remedies with people. Natural remedies have been around for hundreds, even thousands of years because they work, and they work on humans, sometimes pets too. I was surprised to see that there were some culinary uses for tansy when I was doing the research for this particular video. I've never used the plant in this way. It has a bit of a menthol type smell to it. It's not something that I would think to use in a condiment or as a condiment. But I was surprised to see that some people use it to replace cinnamon. There are recipes that use the leaves and chop it up and add it to salads for a little bit of a zingy flavor. It is also put in stuffings and egg dishes, even custards and cakes. So I think that takes a particular taste, or maybe when it's baked, it takes on a different flavor. But the leaves can also be used as a rub, and it has some very good preservative qualities about it. So when it is used on meats as a rub, it will help preserve that meat. And it was often used in Jewish traditional feasts of Passover as the bitter herb. There is some caution in using large amounts. Well, you know, it takes common sense. You don't make a dinner out of garlic, and you don't make a dinner out of tansy. But a little bit in salads, a little bit as a tea, it really can add some element to your food that can spice it up, make it a little more tasty. Now there's two varieties. Common tansy is what I grow. It's found, it actually was in England and that area. And then it came to America, and it was used to rid children of intestinal parasitic worms. Now you would make a tea out of it, probably put a little honey in it, and the child would drink it for intestinal worms. In tincture form, it has helped reduce epileptic seizures, ease stomach distress, and anxiety. And it has also been used to ease gout. So there's some attributes in the leaves and even in the flowers where it helps to alkalize, where it can ease inflammation. So aside from being a really pretty herb, it does have some very interesting, I think, yet to be explored ways of use. People, when there were dirt floors and people would put straw or what they called rushes on the dirt floor to keep the dust from accumulating, they would often strew herbs in the straw, sometimes lavender, but a lot of times they would use tansy because it seemed to deter mice and rats and critters like that. So it had a really beneficial use early on when people had dirt floors. It actually would bring up a nice smell as you walked on it as well. Some people have reported a sensitivity to the leaves when picking it. It's never occurred to me. I've never had that happen. I've picked tansy a lot. I love it in flower arrangements. And usually when I'm working in the garden, I have gloves on, but when I'm picking for flower arrangements, I don't wear gloves. So recently I learned that chopping the leaves and stems and using it as a mulch can actually help your plants because it is high in the number 2 ingredient when you look for fertilizers like NPK. So P stands for potassium. And when you crush up the leaves and put them in some water and let them brew like for a tea, you can use it then as a spray. And some of the bugs that it's been reported to deter is squash bugs. Now, those are really difficult to get rid of. So it's a nice thing to know that there's a natural way to get rid of them. Striped cucumber beetles, I've dealt with those. Japanese beetles are horrible. And sugar ants, I don't know if I've dealt with those. Moths, lots. And Ishimoid wasps, I don't know what those are, but we have lots of wasps. And fleas. So this might be something you could rub on your animal. I would do some research on that and see, especially if you were dealing with an animal that licks a lot. I imagine horses and cows, it would be a really good thing to deal with because they there was some more information about flies. So mice also tend to stay away from areas where the tansy is planted. So if you wanted to plant the tansy, you could plant it around a barn or chicken coop or someplace where the these animals would inhabit. In addition to certain insects, the oil extracts, including tansy oil. So in other words, you would put the dried tansy in oil, warm oil, and let it sit and brew for a week or two, and then strain it out, and you could use that as an oil spray. Then you would have to use like soap to help disperse the oil in water, and that would be a really good deterrent for especially mosquitoes and greenhouse whiteflies, cabbage aphids, flower beetles, and spider mites. So there are a lot of uses for this particular plant, which I've not been aware of since I've done the research. I think I'm going to be using it more. So a word from our sponsor, there's actually 2 types of tansy. And this particular tansy is sometimes known as Moroccan tansy, and it's or blue tansy. Even though the flowers are still little yellow buds, but there's a chemical that is in the blue tansy that isn't in the common tansy, which makes the essential oil a blue color. And this particular oil that has the blue tansy in it also has lavender, orange, atlas cedar, lang lang, and vanilla. It's really a mellow, floral, luscious, citrus, and inviting vanilla smell. And it creates a lovely personal quiet space. So when people are anxious or they're nervous about certain things, you can make a roll-on like this, fill it with the massage oil, which is an unscented oil, and put about 10 drops of the refuge in it. And it actually makes it a really pretty light blue. And you can apply it to your wrists or behind the ears and just help to get you into a calm space. So it is beneficial for an anti-inflammatory and anti-anxiety as well. And if you go to the link in the description below, you'll get 25% off your order. So you can order the massage oil and the refuge and get 25% off, or anything else that you find helpful on that website. So there are lots of essential oils, single essential oil as well. But blue tansy is not found as a single because it is very, very expensive. Making it takes a certain amount of equipment, and it really, it's higher up there along with the beautiful oils like rose. But to make a spray, you could put the refuge in a spray bottle. For every ounce, you would use 5 drops. So if you're using a 2-ounce spray, then you could do 10 drops. And then you would put some aloe in it. And these sprays would help with burns. And I have in the description below, I have a recipe for a spray that people have used for burns from using radiation treatment. And it is a really wonderful, wonderful soothing spray. And I imagine you could use it on sunburn as well. But if you've never grown tansy, maybe this video will give you some incentive. And if you've grown tansy or used it in anything, I would love to have a comment from you. I enjoy using things from my garden as a supplement to my health. And I love hearing stories from other people that have used what is in their garden and how it has helped them. And I believe medicine is all around us, and the only thing that keeps us from using this is a lack of knowledge. So I really appreciate when people share these videos. And and use the information to help with their well-being. And you never want to take yourself off medication that a doctor has put you on. Always check with the doctor, and hopefully that doctor is versed in phytomedicine or plant medicine, and that they can help you and guide you to get off of drugs, because drugs have side effects, and most of the time herbs do not. They have what's called side benefits. And so learn what you can about getting healthy. I have videos on my YouTube channel that talk about good health practices. And there's actually 3 formats that I use on my YouTube channel. I have the Gardening with Granny series, which is 3 to 5 minutes of just kind of fun talk and different things, and learning from plants or sharing information about plants. And I have this series, which is Health to Home, and this series is between 15 and 20 minutes long. And then the monthly herbal hour, which is about an hour long, and it goes into more depth on what your body needs to be healthy, to stay healthy. And the purpose of these videos is not to diagnose or prescribe, but to help people understand about getting their body back into balance, because it is when the body goes out of balance that it creates disease. Just like if you're a gardener and you notice that the soil, there's something wrong with the soil, it's old, maybe it needs amendments, maybe you need to fertilize it. Well, our bodies need the same thing. I consider vitamins and minerals our fertilizer, and it's not our main food. Our main food is like the soil is to the plant, and it's the things you eat. And hopefully you're tucking plants for food all over your garden. I have lots of little places that I tuck food in here and there. And I hope that your garden is growing. It's just been a really, really big spring for plants. Personally, I've never had tomatoes that actually formed in June. And yes, on the 15th of June, I had some tomatoes already forming. And it's always been my goal to have a ripe tomato by my birthday, which is July 30th. And I'm sure I'm going to meet that goal this year, because I have some San Marzano that are a good 1.5 inches long. So very excited about my garden. And I hope that you're having fun gardening and learning about herbs and how you can be healthy. So get control of your health and get into nature and enjoy this beautiful, yes, very hot, but beautiful weather that has been provided for us. And I hope that I see you next time when I do my video next week. So, Dr. Mary, for the health of it.